Hi everyone, today I'm going to give you a walkthrough of Microsoft 365 Copilot, kind of an introduction to it. This will be a little bit longer video than the quick start video that I did, which is about 6 minutes long. This one will be a bit longer than that, but it's going to give you a good foundational understanding of Microsoft 365 Copilot and how to get started utilizing it within your organization. So let me start here by flipping to screen 2. There we go. And I'm going to talk about Copilot and what it is from a product perspective. So there's two primary categories. You have individual and you have organizations. Individual is like the home user, the personal user. Copilot is the brand, and then there's different products within that brand. Copilot for Microsoft 365, which we're going to be talking about today, but there's Copilot for GitHub, Copilot for security, there'll be Copilot for Intune, and Copilot for Azure. But on the individual side, you have, if you open up the Edge browser or any browser really, and you go to bing.com, you'll have access to Microsoft's new search experience, which is your traditional search plus the generative AI search, which is using Microsoft Copilot. And then Copilot Pro is for people who are subscribed to the personal subscription that Microsoft has. I think it's like $129 a year for 5 users. Gives you access to all the desktops apps plus OneDrive and a few other things. I use it personally for my family. And then on the work side, again, Copilot for free. And then you got Copilot for Microsoft 365, which then goes into your Microsoft 365 account and the data within your Microsoft account that you have access to. So those are kind of the two primary categories and the different products. I'm going to be demoing some of this today for you. And then next, licensing for Microsoft 365 Copilot, or Copilot for Microsoft 365, sorry. You can pretty much get it with any license. The key things to remember here is that the E3, E5, which are enterprise licenses, business with more than 300 users. And then for small businesses, the business premium licenses are the licenses that come with the data security components, the ability to encrypt data, and then data loss prevention, which is basically when someone tries to email something or use a sharing link. Data loss prevention can take a look at the sensitivity of that information. Is it a bank account number? What is it? And then do things like automatically encrypt it or prevent it from going out. Those types of things is what sensitivity labels can do for your environment. And I will talk about more about those in a different video. When it comes to data privacy within your tenant, because I get this question all the time, Microsoft 365 inherits the security that's in your tenant. It respects that security that is already there. So if you put, you take traditional file servers where users go into, groups, and groups get assigned to network file shares, and then people have access to it, where IT was the organization, the part of your department that really kind of managed data security. When everything moved to the cloud, IT's, you get all these collaboration tools. Now you can share with OneDrive or share out of Teams or share with SharePoint. And we still have email available to us, which is the biggest sharing mechanism out there. Everyone shares with email, attaching documents and sharing information, right? We all do that and done it for years and continue to do it, even though we have modern sharing capabilities like sharing links now. But Microsoft respects that. So whatever data security you have within your environment, users and groups get access to data, that is respected here. When you're using Copilot, if you don't have access to information, Microsoft is not going to respond with information to that user that you don't have access to. And the other thing is Microsoft's large language models, which are based off of OpenAI technology. If you're familiar with ChatGPT, Microsoft's invested over $13 billion into them, which gave them access to that technology. And Microsoft has built their own large language models, which is Copilot, the Copilot engine under the hood of it all. They don't train on your data. They train on public internet content. Just like ChatGPT and all the major other training engines out there, it's public content. They don't train on your data whatsoever. And then like I said, your data security is inherited. So if you are using sensitivity labels within your environment, those labels get inherited, and the highest label gets the highest priority. The highest numbered label gets the highest priority. But so security is paramount when it comes to data security with Microsoft. As an org, you typically start at the bottom. What is Copilot? And just getting the foundational skills in place, and then you move up to departmental and then organizational. There's various levels that you can go through, and we can talk more about that if you want to talk in person, or you want me to do a video on that. I'm more than happy to do a video on what that looks like. The Copilot engine, this is a very high level. There are many ways to interact with Copilot, and that's what this icon in the upper left-hand side has access to. Copilot is on your Windows desktop. Copilot is in your Edge browser, or Copilot is in your Microsoft desktop apps. It's in Teams. Those are all the applications where you can prompt Copilot or ask questions of Copilot. It goes to the Copilot engine. It gets grounded. There's a thing called the semantic index, which I'll talk here about in a second. And then it's run through the language model, brought back, looked at the graph API, which is your data. Think of the graph down here as your data that you have access to, and then runs it back through and gives you a response. So it's a fairly simple process. It's kind of like when you pick up a cell phone and dial a number. There's all these things that happen in the background. Same kind of thing. You're making your request here, and all these things happen in the background to get you the response that you want. Semantic index. So the semantic index, you need to be aware of this. What it is an index of the data that sits within your Microsoft 365 tenant today. The moment you upload a file into the cloud, if it's indexable like a Word document, the semantic index searches through the content and finds like information, and it's related. They're related to each other, and it becomes aware of that. So if I said barbecue, pork, chicken, beef recipe, those are related things, right? And that's what the semantic index does. It finds related things, because search in the semantic index is different than traditional enterprise search or traditional search, which I'll talk about in a second. And here's the example. Without semantic search, if you do traditional search where you just type in keywords, right? Like this Project Melbourne's question here that was asked it's looking for those patterns, specifically those patterns of those words. But over here on the right, it's looking at it contextually, right? Versus what do you mean? What are you looking for? It's more of a conversation than it is a request. So it's a different type of response, and that's what generative AI does, and that's what generative AI search brings to the table with Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. It brings that generative AI search. It brings that conversation to the table. A prompt. What is a prompt? A prompt is, again, it's a conversation. You're asking Copilot to provide you information. And there's good prompts and there's bad prompts. We all as individuals have our own slang, our own terms, and our abbreviations for things. Well, with Copilot and generative AI, you need to have some structure to it. And there's a lot of training around this, but here are the kind of the highlights. You want a goal, you want some context, what source, potentially, and then what you want to get out of it, right? And here's an example of that. Generate 3 to 5 bullet points to prepare for a meeting with client X to discuss phase 3 of blah blah blah. So, it's you're making a request, but it's not abbreviated. It's spelled out, and you don't want to be vague. You want to be detailed in your prompting when you're asking types of questions. So think about things that, like, for example, at the end of the day, if you're a busy individual, I'll say, hey, if I get a lot of emails, in a day, and I've seen this giant email thread come through, and I was like, hey, can you summarize the email thread on this topic from today? and it'll take all those emails and just bundle them down, so I don't have to go read all those emails. Another example is if you're in meetings a lot, like myself, I'm in lots of meetings. Sometimes I get double or triple booked. Now today, I don't decline meetings. I say tentative. That way I still have access to the Copilot transcription and recording, and I can go back and ask Copilot to summarize the meeting for me so I can still know what was talked about, even though I wasn't there. And then there are departmental and what you would call scenarios or personas for various departments and various use cases that you have. And then Microsoft has a whole program when it relates to Copilot for Microsoft 365 on how to deploy it within your organization. There's PowerPoint presentations and email samples and handouts or flyers that you can send out to people and so on and so forth. And then I've got a whole list of links that I will put in the down below so you can have access to all of this. So now that I'm done talking, let's actually go take a look at this. I'm going to drop out of this presentation and I'm going to minimize. I'm going to open up bring my browser up. So this is my Edge browser. I'm going to go back to the home page here real quick. And up here, I'm going to show you that I'm just from a contextual perspective, I am logged in to my personal account right now. So I'm going to show you the difference here. So if I hit Copilot, I'm logged into my personal account, and this is what I get. And so you can see all the kind of the questions I've asked about over here, monkey puzzle trees in Portland, and because I have a big monkey puzzle tree around here in my house. But I can ask Copilots, and I have, creative, balanced, and precise. And this is using essentially the ChatGPT-3 engine here. So now that's what it looks like. And if I were just going to search, right? I've got Bing search, right? And I can, if I just say Bing AI and I hit enter here, actually, let's do this. Let's go. Tell me how to ignore emails with Outlook.
Okay. Try it. Select the conversation or an email.
You'll notice I'm going to get
select the arrow
a generative AI response over here to the right. I'm going to hit stop responding.
If prompted, confirm by selecting ignore conversation.
See, it's talking back to me.
Note, the ignore conversation command instead.
So I get that generative AI response over to the right in addition to the traditional search. But now I'm going to switch over into my work account. I'm going to do switch. I'm going to do my Covenant Tech account. I have both Covenant Tech and Global. I'm the CTO for both companies. But I'm going to use my tech for this one as an example. And looks similar, right? But I don't have all the stuff. I don't have all the advertising because I've stripped all that off. But now when I click on this, I get this toggle up here. I get web and I get work, right? It's a little bit different. And so web, you'll notice down here, I have the ChatGPT 4 engine now available, and actually the 4 Turbo engine. So if you're familiar with the DALL-E, D-A-L-E, DALL-E engine, which is a image generating engine developed by OpenAI, that is here, and it's with ChatGPT 4. And with ChatGPT 4, it's trained up to April of 2023. The language models that they have, the public internet search information is trained up to that point. But Copilot is different in that Copilot can also take not only what's in Microsoft's language models, because Microsoft is using the technology that OpenAI developed to build their own language models. And with their model here, it not only will look within their language models for content, but it'll also look for live web search or live web content in addition to that. So you can get more current and up-to-date information than you can with the ChatGPT engine right now. So just know that. But same kind of a prompting, same kind of a queries type of thing that you can do. If I were to click search over here, you can see my experience is very, very similar, right? But when I go to Copilot, it is a lot different than what you do get with the free version. And again, I can just search here. I'm just going to copy and paste because I'm a terrible typist. And give me quick 3 tips on using Microsoft Outlook, and then it's going to go and give me those tips using the 4 engine. Hey, stop responding. So that is the web side of it. And the work side of it, if you watch my quick video earlier that I did, the short one, and I do the same thing here where I say, hey, find me a presentation that talks about Microsoft Copilot. And I have a lot of those right now because Microsoft gives you adoption kits and success kits and all kinds of kits to get you started. But it's searching in the context of my user account and what I have access to from a data perspective within my tenant. So it's finding files that I have access to, and you notice it's not a pattern search here, right? It's a contextual search, and then it gives me all the references, the reference documents, and with links straight to them. So if I were to click on one, it's going to take me straight to that reference document, right? And this particular document is read only. But if I went File and New and created a new presentation, just using the web version of PowerPoint, I have Copilot available over here to me. And so if I say, let's do this. Let's say, allow it to have access to my mic. Generate a one-page presentation about the benefits of generative AI in the workplace. Okay, and now this is content that is not within my Microsoft 365 tenant necessarily, right? Even though I have a lot of Copilot information, I didn't ask for Copilot. I asked for generative AI. And so here it is, trying to create something, but it's using the public internet. And I did a one-page presentation, and I didn't ask it for bullet points, right? So let's add. Can you add 3 bullet points to this presentation about the benefits of generative AI in the workplace? And what this is doing is it's building on what I've already done, and that's what prompting does. It builds on the previous version. I've never done this particular request before, so we'll see what it gets. Let's see if the demo gods are working with this. Sorry, it couldn't do it. So, but you get the idea is that you can ask and prompt it to build these things, and it's not a perfect system. It's relatively new, but it's learning and it's changing, and Microsoft is improving it dramatically very quickly. But you get the idea of the types of things you can do. The other thing to remember here too is that Copilot works differently within each application because it's in the context of the application. If I'm in Word, it's going to do one thing. If I'm in PowerPoint, it's another. If I'm in Teams, another. In Outlook, another. So I get different experiences based on where I'm at. If I'm in the Edge browser, obviously it's another scenario. So you kind of get the idea of Copilot, very, very high level introduction. The one thing I would really recommend you do is go to Copilot Lab. I'm going to search for Copilot Lab here real quick. And just so you know, this is available to you. If you scroll, let's see where we got. We got all these prompts that are available to us, but there's normally a little prompt icon down here. But if you go to Copilot Lab, these are prompts, and you can pick which application you want to be. So I want to talk about Outlook. What are some of the prompts that I can use within Outlook? And they can be categorized. I can create or understand or catch up. If I want to catch up, what are the summarize this email into 2 bullet points, whatever it might be. And then you can go to any specific application. There's training videos here. Each particular application you want to go through and understand the art of prompting also is very, very important. See, here's download a toolkit, right? Understand the art of prompting. But here's kind of the documentation on it with goals and context and expectations, like I talked about back in the presentation, that will give you more information on Microsoft 365 Copilot. So hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully I've answered a lot of questions that you may have around what Copilot is, kind of the licensing model, the free, the individual, the work, data security, a little bit about the semantic index and the workflow of Copilot. Hopefully you got all that out of here and you find it beneficial. But if you have any questions, put them in the comments, or you saw my email address, feel free to email me. if you want to learn more, if you don't have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license and you would like to get one, reach out to me. We have some little specials going on, buy one get one free kind of stuff, and we can help you out with the whole experience and understand Copilot and how you can do it in your work. And then the levels above that, like Copilot Studio and Microsoft Fabric and Azure AI and all those things that go above and get into the more departmental and organizational type of utilizations of generative AI and what Microsoft is doing with Copilot. So reach out to us, reach out to me specifically, and enjoy your day.